This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Okay. Pardon Talk, part of the mix today on the Saturday morning extravaganza. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up on today's program, the one, the only Princess Diana will be up with us. Also, looking forward to catching up with Lizzie Radabali, Red Apple Media star anchorette, as well as America's small caffeinated mom, Rhonda Schrock, and your phone calls. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us from all over the country. 800-848-9222. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. What a week this has been. We're up for grabs on what you want to talk about. Keep it reasonable. We don't usually do kookery, but even in some cases, yeah, but most of the time, no. So, what have we had this week? We've had the Biden kid out ranting, cursing out everybody, and extolling the virtues of cocaine. Teaching everybody that didn't know how they can make their own crack, along with his political discourses. The biggest news, of course, was Tulsi Gabbard and the continued discussions over what Obama and his administration did, when they did it, who was involved. The baiter, Jeffrey Toobin, has a piece today that Trump really went over the line this time. Oh, he did it, he went over the line by accusing Obama of treason. And I just found that odd because no one is actually saying, Obama, in the left, the mainstream press, nobody's saying Obama and his administration went over the line in trying to perform a preemptive coup on the Trump administration back in 2016. No one's saying they went over the line by falsifying intelligence to meet political needs. No, Trump is going over the line by actually, in his administration, calling out what Obama did. I find it really quite interesting. There is disarray on the political front, as always. Wisconsin has a new lieutenant governor. Not a new lieutenant governor, a new entry into the governor's race. The governor there, Evers, ineffective governor, says he's not going to run again, threw the race wide open. So their lieutenant governor, Sarah Rodriguez, first one to declare in that race. And what is her winning message? Her winning message is that Donald Trump is a maniac. Oh, boy. What new, novel messaging for a campaign run by a Democrat, anti-Trump. This morning in the overnight hours, we learned that the Justice Department in Illinois, a federal judge has dismissed a Justice Department challenge. This concerns Illinois' declaration that they have, sanctuary over Chicago and Cook County. So this is going to heat up, as will the birthright rulings are still coming in, headed back to the Supreme Court. Let's see. Columbia University settled this week with the Trump administration. There's upset among liberal quarters because they've agreed to a monitor. They've agreed to other things. Oh, it's dangerous to have them actually make an agreement with the Trump administration regarding their egregious behavior. There is upset from David Letterman. Remember him? Oh boy. Look, I always appreciate people with talent and or who are in the media profession. I try not to disrespect anybody. It takes a lot of work to get to the top. And so I don't knock anybody that gets to the top of it, that does it. But I will just say, from my own preference, and we're allowed to have preferences, I never found David Letterman funny. I never found him interesting enough that I would make an appointment to watch David Letterman. I thought it was sort of just back when he was on, you know, again, I recognize a lot of people, he's got talent. He made it good. I just never thought David Letterman was interesting. So he's unleashing fury at CBS for canceling his successor, Stephen Colbert. And I just find it amazing the privilege that these guys think that they have. The entitlement that this multi-million-dollar set of entertainers have, that they think, I guess, CBS is just supposed to eat $40 million a year to keep a losing show. I'm talking about in terms of advertising revenues, and that's what pays the bill. It's a business. So supposedly, no matter how unfunny the show is, or no matter how it cannot attract enough people to make it a profitable show, I guess, according to Letterman and others, that they're just supposed to keep it running and just go in the hole for $40 million a year. The South Park episode, I've only seen clips. I'm not going to watch the whole thing. The clips I saw were some disgusting with South Park. Have you seen any of that, Kevin? You said, oh boy.
Just a clip online, a really quick one.
Well, when you get into the clips, multiple, of this episode, it's got everything from their depiction of Jesus throwing the F-bomb around and cowering before Trump. It's got little animated, and I mean little, of supposedly of the president's male anatomy, the maleness part of his anatomy, making fun of that. It is. They have him in bed with Satan, and on and on. You know, it's not the first time we've seen Satan in South Park. Before it was Saddam Hussein that was Satan's boyfriend. Satan apparently is a how shall we put it? Prefers same-sex relationships. So anyway, it's that. And the guys out at South Park are out, you know, making fun of it, of their episode, with a fake apology for offending people, I suppose. I just saw the headline. I didn't even bother to print the story. But Chuck Todd also is out blasting podcasters. It's irresponsible for podcasters to platform Hunter Biden. That's what Chuck Todd is now saying. In other words, he wants to, I guess, keep Hunter Biden out of the news cycle because what? Why? It's bad for Democrats. We've got that. Funny story, and I will get into some of these in a little bit in depth. This was good in terms of it being somewhat humorous. Gwyneth Paltrow has teamed up with the website Astronomer. And of course, the irony there is that the Coldplay frontman, Chris Martin, was married to Gwyneth Paltrow, and they had what that everyone was, I think, a little amused by the term they came up with when they broke up, the conscious uncoupling. So they are consciously uncoupled, but she has now teamed up with Astronomer as the official interim spokesperson. She says she has been hired on a very temporary basis to speak on behalf of the 300-plus employees at Astronomer after, of course, their CEO had to resign. We talked about that story last week, caught on the Jumbotron by Coldplay. Apparently, his wife didn't know he was there with another woman. He has since resigned. So she is poking fun. Very, very funny kind of ad, I guess. Company has a sense of humor. So we have got all of that. And, of course, your calls 800-848-9222. The Epstein story is still huge. President Trump hoping to leave questions about his administration's handling of Epstein case in the rearview mirror is in Scotland, opening up his third golf course in Scotland. And I just love that because, liberals are having a cow that he dares go over for something like that. But it's just great. And he got a very warm reception. Of course, there are liberals in Scotland who are outraged, simply outraged. But the overwhelming response to his trip, I mean, people lined up on the streets to see the motorcade. What a greeting he got over in Scotland. And then you have the business going on with... I keep mispronouncing this woman's name. I've heard so many mispronunciations. I don't know what the right pronunciation is. Ghislaine, I've heard. Ghislaine, I call her. Ghislaine. Ghislaine. Giz. Oh, I already said that. Ghislaine is what I prefer. But anyway, you heard the introduction. Her lawyer's out. They're pretty much trying to, I think, scare up a pardon for her. Now, she's the one, by the way, that suggested that she was open to talking. Notorious sex criminal. Ghislaine Maxwell answered questions from Justice Department about 100 different people. 100 of them. This could get juicy. David Oscar Marcus told reporters his client, currently serving 20-year sentence after being convicted in Manhattan of federal sex trafficking and conspiracy charges in 2021, was asked about every possible thing you could imagine. Everything. Did they ask about Clinton in that blue dress, that painting, and how that came about? I wonder. There are concerns she might not be telling the truth. But Todd said the DOJ attorney, Todd Blanche, said she answered every single question, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll see. We got to take a quick break here, ladies and gentlemen. Randy Meisner passed away on this day in 2023. Founding member of the Eagles. And also, this is Randy singing lead on a song that he co-wrote. One of the more successful songs, and they had so many successful songs. Take It to the Limit. Remembering musician, singer, songwriter, and founding member of the Eagles, Randy Meisner. James Golden, 800-848-9222. Don't go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
1968, on this day, the Jackson 5 signed a 1-year contract with Motown Records. And what a year it was. In 1970, they made history, the first recording act to have their first 4 singles go to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts. That is still an impressive feat. It's been, of course, done since then by other artists. But their first 4 singles out of the box went number 1. This one, of course, was the first single. After that came ABC, The Love You Save was next, and then on the third album, by that time they were into their third album, the third album, I'll Be There, was their fourth single. And I'll Be There, of course, just wow. All of them. This song has some real players on it. I believe, if I'm not wrong, Joe Sample is... It was listed as written by The Corporation. What the hell is a corporation? But I think Joe Sample and some other members of... it may be Styx Hooper, but definitely Joe Sample playing keyboards on it. Some great musicians. And then when you went to see them live, which I did, Madison Square Garden, if you could get through all the shouting, the noise, girls throwing bangles and other things up on stage, they actually had a great sound live. Jermaine, of course, playing bass live. Tito playing guitar. Jermaine and Michaels back and forth. Really talented. Okay, you know what we're going to do when we come back from our next break, we're going to introduce a new feature. Sound clips or clips of the week. And clips of the week. During the week, we played some amazing clips. I got to tell you, these are not all best clip, because one of them this week is so horrid that it defies belief almost. But then there were some that might be considered amusing. So what I will do is pick 4, some weeks it'll be 4, maybe some weeks it'll be 5, of the most amazing audio clips that we have heard, at least in my view. And if you want to comment on any of them during the course of the program today, you are, of course, welcome to do so. So we've got this business going on with Epstein. We've got so much other stuff. There is a story in Government Exec today. What is Government Exec? It's kind of a trade pub for government workers. And most Americans oppose RIFs. Bet most people don't even know what RIFs are. It's a reduction in force. In other words, layoffs. But Good Government Group says anti-layoff messaging needs to be improved. So they say most Americans, most of you out there, oppose reductions in the federal workforce, right? And then second paragraph or third paragraph into the article, second paragraph. Since we started studying these issues 5 years ago, it's very clear that most people don't know what the federal government does for them. And that's even more critical now. We're talking about things being cut. Says Lindsay Lafayette, the director of Partnership Rebuilding Trust in Government Initiative. If most people don't know what the government does for them, how can they be opposed to layoffs? Something there's not making sense. It's Saturday morning. It's you, it's me, it's coffee, it's wonderful times on Saturday. Whatever you do, don't go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You know who it is. Kevin, it's like the Stones. What's up?
It's Rolling Stones Day here on the James Golden Show. This is Emotional Rescue. Number 1 on the U.S. album charts when it was released. Although Keith Richards was just out of jail.
Out of jail.
Toronto frowns upon possession of narcotics, I think.
Oh, that little detail. Oh man, but he could have been locked up for a few years. He escaped that, apparently.
Yeah, they exonerated him, which I find hard to believe that he was totally innocent on that one.
Cool. Rolling Stones Day here. Okay, I mentioned before the break, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a new feature, Clips of the Week. Now, let me just explain, before we even do this, one of these in particular today is going to be really difficult for some of you to listen to. But Clip of the Week doesn't mean the funniest, doesn't mean, it means it stood out. That's all it means. For whatever reason, it stood out. Some of them you will understand immediately. And the first one that we're going to play is something that I played 3 or 4 times this week because the clarity of it is going to be something that a lot of, especially younger people who have assumed vast amount of debts, are going to find very difficult to listen to. But clarity. It is Linda McMahon, Education Secretary, and this is that is cut number 25, and this is what the Education Secretary, Linda McMahon, had to say concerning actions that will be taking place within the next week.
Attention student loan borrowers enrolled in the SAVE plan. On August 1st, the Department of Education will resume charging interest on your loans. This change is required by law. When you take out a loan, you must pay it back. The Biden administration attempted loan forgiveness to win points with their voters, but federal courts have repeatedly ruled these actions are unlawful. The truth is, there is no such thing as loan forgiveness. It's just shifting debts from one party to another. The Trump administration will not allow the American taxpayer to take on debts that are not their own. The department stands ready to help you identify a new and legal repayment plan. If you are a borrower enrolled in the illegal SAVE plan, please visit studentaid.gov to learn about affordable repayment options.
2 lines stood out in that for me. When you take out a loan, you must pay it back. There is no such thing as loan forgiveness. Okay, the next clip from our clips of the week is distressing. It is a news report from Alabama. This is all part of what happens when you open up a nation's borders and all sorts of people come in with no vetting. And it's not just that this happens among because an illegal immigrant is involved. This stuff is happening. In fact, I'll talk about what the latest is that I heard from Stephen Miller on, I think he was interviewed on Hannity, but it pertains to all of this. Cut 19, it speaks tragically for itself.
It's a case investigators say they'll never forget. Children drugged and tied up, taken underground into a bunker where strangers paid to abuse them.
Sometimes there would be multiple people that would come by and victimize these children on a nightly basis.
10 children so far have been identified, the youngest just 3 years old, the oldest 15. Most of them are under the age of 10, and investigators fear there are more victims and suspects still unaccounted for.
Some of them come in as they got old enough to be desirable to a pedophile, I guess, and then some of them, their victimization started out when they were younger, and then they reached the age of 10.
Investigators say the children were sexually abused in what was described as appointments paid for by offenders.
Sometimes they could make up to $1,000 a night.
And some of the people who were supposed to protect them were the ones handing them over.
Some of these people are acquaintances, some of them are family, and some of them are just people that they were able to schedule to come to the storm shelter.
Law enforcement believe this wasn't just a local crime. It was part of an organized human trafficking network, possibly linked to a violent gang. One suspect, Andres Trejo Valquez, is believed to have connections to a gang called Serenos, a group the sheriff says profits off child exploitation. His legal status in the U.S. is now under investigation.
wherever this guy come from, we don't know what he left in his trail.
I don't even know, folks. There are no words. Children as young as 3 years old being abused by a network. I mentioned Stephen Miller had something to say too. He was interviewed by Hannity the other day, and what he said was he had been, and the administration had been saying under Joe Biden's administration there were 320,000 undocumented migrant children that were lost now in the United States. When he was on with Hannity earlier this week, he said the administration has now, based on the research that they've been doing, raised the number. Now it is believed that over 400, I believe he said 450,000 children came in under the Biden open borders, and they are still searching for the vast majority of them. They are lost. They don't know where they're at. So when you hear stories about this kind of horrific, ungodly, unimaginable business of pimping out for sex children as young as 3 years old. I mean, yeah, there's got to be a special place in hell for these people, but what these children are going through, unimaginable. That's the reason that particular one was one of the clips of the week. It is a clip that just continues to bother me, and I know it will bother many, many of you. So let's make a turn now from that into one of my favorite areas of audio bites, and that is what women talkers, as I call them, the women talk generation, what they think. Cut 16, and this one is also one of the clips of the week.
Hey, quick question. If you voted for Trump, are you going to help me pay for my insurance since I, don't have it anymore? Are you going to pay all my medical fees up front? Or am I just supposed to figure that out myself?
What are you... So, if you voted for Trump, are you going to pay? Are you going to pay her medical fees? Or is she just supposed to? And her insurance, by the way, she's a young woman. Or is she supposed to figure this all out by her lonesome self? Quite amazing. How could we do clips of the week and not do Hunter Biden? Hunter Biden, ladies and gentlemen, we could go political with the political rants that he went through during the week. But at one point during his interview, the one that Chuck Todd now is bemoaning, Hunter Biden decided he wanted to go in the kind of the education business. And I believe that's cut 30, and teach people something from his own life's experience. And here he is.
They think cocaine, Scarface, very cool. Yeah. Crack cocaine, they think The Wire.
Oh, in that sense, absolutely.
You know what I mean? They don't know how
yeah.
similar the chemical compounds are.
Well, the only difference between crack cocaine and cocaine is sodium bicarbonate and water and heat, literally. That's it.
And those things are pretty much free if you go to a science store.
This is free. You can go to your neighborhood convenience store and just get. Anyway, I don't want to tell people how to make crack cocaine, but it literally is a mayonnaise jar, cocaine, and baking soda.
How different is the experience?
It's vastly, vastly different. And for real, I feel really reluctant to kind of have some euphoric discussion. I know you're not asking.
26 will be the last one.
Me to do that, but have some euphoric discussion about crack cocaine.
I think this might be kind of the opposite here.
Okay, no, it's the exact opposite. I'm saying I don't want to have the experience of some euphoric recall. That's how powerful crack cocaine is. Does crack cocaine make you act any differently? No. Is it safer than alcohol? Probably. People think of crack as being dirty. It's the exact opposite. When you make crack, what you're doing is you're burning off all the impurities so that it combines with the sodium bicarbonate, which makes it smokable. That's all. You know, all of these actors and, you know, people in the past that talked about they had a problem with cocaine and freebasing. They were smoking crack.
So straw on the stove is the same thing?
Not exactly, but close to it. But it's a little bit different. But anyway.
Yeah, you know, it's people think, I mean, no, you're burning off all the impurities. Oh, man, I don't want to talk about the euphoria you get from, the euphoria you get from doing crack, man. I mean, crack, you know, it's like really clean, dude. Yeah, dude. And, you know, I mean, I don't want to tell you how to make it, but all you got to do, man, is like get some like baking soda, you know, and then you put it there, you burn it. I mean, it's people that were talking about freebasing, man. I mean, it was like crack, man. You know, that's what they were doing, man. Crack, yeah. Hunter Biden. All right, last clip of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I know I said before we were going to talk about the female talkers. We talked about the female talkers, but here's another female talker with the last of our clips of the week.
All right, I'm back again to hit you with some knowledge about why men are so terrified right now. Studies have been conducted that women can make babies with other women without men. Yes, you heard that right. We do not need anything from a man to create a baby. The result? We will only have women children. So now let's talk about evolution. Women have had to survive in the society we live in today because of the threats of violence against us. So as we evolve, we become more consciously aware of what is actually happening to us in order to survive. And this deep-rooted consciousness that is happening with women all over the world, and I mean all over the world, is absolutely terrifying to the male species. They have used power and control in order to shut us up and put us in a corner. But what they don't understand is that we are too conscious. We have become too conscious, and you can't take consciousness away from a human. Now, in order for the male species to survive, they must evolve too. And this is absolutely terrifying to them because they've lived in the comforts of their safety for so long. And as we bring consciousness to the male species, they now understand that women actually hold all of the power. Women decide whether the universe procreates and continues. So I say all of this to really say it's time to evolve. Each and every one of us. It's time to evolve and make this world a better place.
Thank you. I've learned something today. I don't know about you. Kelvin, did you know that women don't need anything from a man, not even your, but they don't need anything from you in order to procreate. They can make little girls by just two women getting together and doing what women do to get pregnant without men.
That's breaking news to me.
Kevin, were you aware that women, especially you, because you, my friend, you know, you're going to be doing the nuptial thing pretty soon, and you might not know this, but your woman doesn't need you to procreate. All she needs to do is find another willing woman, and they could procreate and make little girls. Did you know that?
Sounds like this woman got dipped into the mayonnaise jar full of cocaine and has been cooking up on the stove recently. It sounded like the rantings of a lunatic at 3 o'clock in the morning after hitting a few bowls.
Oh, goodness, we have to take a quick break here, my friends. If we have time when we get back, we're going to grab your calls. Lizzie's coming up a little bit later in the show. Princess Di is coming up, as well as America's Small Caffeinated Mom. And your calls. We have some calls that are holding. We'd love to take some, so just stay with us. Okay, the second part of the Rolling Stones Day. Why, Kev?
Oh, I believe it's Mick Jagger's birthday.
Yo!
I don't have it in front of me right now. How old is he now?
1943.
Wow.
Yeah,
1943. Do the
1943.
math for me.
He's 82. And you know what? The guy still, I mean, for his age, which,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
saw
he
the
looks
Giants Stadium
great.
last year. It was insane.
Yeah, he's still he's just amazing. Happy birthday to the Mixter, Mick Jagger. There's only one of him. James Golden Snerdley, 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. Don't go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Okay, how good is this? Rolling Stones, Beatles, Wings, this weekend, tomorrow's the anniversary, started a 7-week run at the number one album chart position with the album Band on the Run. At first, the sales were kind of, shaky. But then, the two singles off this album, Band on the Run and Jet, made it the top-selling studio album of 1974 in the UK and Australia. Of course, it did well here in the States. It is, to date, Paul McCartney's most successful album and the most celebrated album of all the stuff he did after he left the Beatles. Paul McCartney and Wings. James Golden Snerdley. Let's head to the telephones very quickly and catch up with Pamela in New Jersey. Pamela, good morning. How are you?
When many of us were younger, I'm not saying all of us, but we knew that we were going to decouple from our parents. And we were told that. And
yes.
They set us free like birds, and our parents barely had medical coverage. And
right.
we many times had to stay at jobs that we didn't even like until our insurance kicked in if we should fail ill, because you didn't go to anybody until you got that insurance and you didn't have the money, and you learned to stand up on your own. And that was just the way it was.
This is, I guess, in reaction to that young lady wanting to ask MAGA voters if they're going to pay for her insurance. And by the way, she's in her young 20s. Can you imagine being in your young 20s with the idea that someone else should pay your way in life, no matter what it is, and then having no inhibitions about broadcasting that to the world?
Oh, you would definitely not do that. You would be too embarrassed. And you worked hard. You stayed at a job. You looked for the insurance coverage. You looked for your future. Otherwise, forget it. Because many of us, people don't realize that in the 50s and 60s, middle-class America, and it was really lower middle-class America, we didn't go to the dentist. We couldn't afford it. It wasn't a common thing.
Wow.
And people
well, the world certainly...
Today they think it's their right, and it's not.
Sadly, the lessons will come to some in a very hard way. Just like we heard from Linda McMahon. Guess what? If you take out a loan, you're really expected to pay it back. I mean, this is earth-shattering that this has to even be explained. Pamela, thank you so much for the call. Love hearing from you. Let's quickly, while we have 1 minute, head over to New Jersey, stay in New Jersey, and catch up with Greg. Greg, good morning. How are you? Got to go quick, my friend.
Good morning, Bo. Yeah, I don't know where you find these people, but the ones that are involved in that Alabama story with the pedophiles, you couldn't think of a word to describe these people. I got the word. It's called dirtbag. They're all
and you know what?
bags.
I'm going to leave it there, and I hope they are criminally prosecuted to the fullest extent possible. Hour number uno in the can, folks. Hour number duo coming up. I'm texting with John Catsimatidis. He's got some interesting stuff. John, we're going to talk about, I asked him if we can talk about energy. Maybe we can do it next week. Anyway, we're going to come back. Our number duo is on the way. Lizzie Radabali will be with us. And correct, Supremo, Red Apple Media. The Saturday morning extravaganza continues. Do not go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome, my friends. Saturday morning extravaganza right here. Your calls welcome. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. 800-848-9222. Right now, always a delight, my friends, to bring you News Anchorette Supremo of Red Apple Media, the one, the only, the voice of her generation, the voice of the oppressed men and women of our younger generations, Lizzie Radabali. Lizzie, good morning to you.
Good morning, Bo. Clocking in, revving my engines, ready to go here, ready to advocate for Gen Z. My Zoomers.
The Zoomers. Well, the Zoomers are having fun dating. Lizzie, I'm so glad you sent me this story because I saw this story earlier in the week and I had questions.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
There is an app, and I love you. You keep abreast of all of this stuff that's going on in the wide world of social medias.
Yeah, I gotta keep my finger on the pulse here. You know, I gotta.
And it is on the pulse. So there is a new app. I don't know how new. Well, there's an app for women. It's called T.
Yes.
T.
Yeah.
Explain. Now, when I think of tea, I think, I'll have a spot of tea.
You'll have a spot of tea, but, well, guess what? Gen Z has reclaimed tea to just mean kind of drama. The tea mean, like, what's the tea? What's the drama? What's the tea on this person? What's their deal? What's their business? So tea is kind of now like a slang term for drama, business, the inner workings of the human soul.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So that's where this comes from. I was wondering, how did they come up with tea? So tea is the equivalent of what is the drama?
So the drama here, so this app does something this is actually not unique. This app came out, in the beginning of 2024. This breach actually affects users who started using it before 2024. But anyways, into the app, T lets different women use this social media space to kind of do background checks on the guys that they're dating. Now, like I said, this is not unique. This is not new. This has actually been a long time thing on Facebook. There are these groups in different cities called "Are We Dating the Same Guy?" where, people people do exactly that. They ask that question to a group of women. A bunch of women are, if you have a partner who's kind of shady, spends a lot of time, not really with you. I mean, they spend a lot of time, maybe attending to other matters, and you're wondering, like, do they have a second girlfriend? Are we dating the same person? You go to these Facebook groups and you ask that question. And a lot of people there's been discourse around these groups for a long time. I mean, is this invasion of privacy? I mean, some girls are just posting their pictures of the guys and, just kind of like putting them on a stage to just get tomatoes thrown at them. Like, they'll post a guy and they'll say, do you guys sense any red flags here? And the comments just become like open season for roasting this guy. And it's, it's not really the attitude you want to have when you're trying to look for love. You don't automatically want to go on your hater mode. But so anyways, this T app offers people, it takes that Facebook group model and just makes it a streamlined app. You can, I I did download the app. After I, sent this story over, I downloaded it this morning to see the inner workings of the app. And unfortunately, I have 17 hours until I am verified. You have to, once you open the app, it gives you all the perks of the app. The users are anonymous, but they're verified. You're not allowed to screenshot anything. So that's something about those Facebook posts. A lot of guys will get screenshots of them in these Facebook posts, and they're like, what the heck? You could access posts across the country. These Facebook groups, a lot of the times they're limited to the city. If you don't live in that city, you're not going to be allowed in the Facebook group. So this app, you could kind of spy on cities all around. I mean, if you have a partner who does a lot of road trips or business trips, quote unquote business trips, you can take a look at that city and see, hey, man, is this guy dating someone else in that town? And another thing about this app, they say that they donate 10% of their proceeds to the National Domestic Hotline. So they seem like they're trying to do a good thing here, but and you could also run background checks on people. You could search sex offenders. You could even, this is an interesting feature of the app. You can search all the posts across the country by a man's name and then set alerts for that man's name. Like if anything pops up, you can get a notification.
Look, Lizzie, I get it. Look, I get the safety aspect of it. In fact, I talked to a friend of mine who ran a background check on a guy for one of her girlfriends. Come to find out that the guy that they were searching was a registered sex offender.
Yep.
And et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, you can search
and by the way, had served some time in prison, actually, for sexual battery.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get that. Lizzie, I get that part.
Yeah.
But here's the part I don't get.
What?
Right? Why is this just open to women? I mean, I suppose if competition, guys could open up their own site where they could rate the women. But can you imagine the blowback that men would get if they started rating the women that they dated and then started trying to,
Oh my goodness, wouldn't that be crazy if there was a website dedicated to ranking the hotness of women and then it became Facebook.com? Yes, that is how Facebook literally started. Mark Zuckerberg wanted to rank the hotness of his Harvard classmates. This is not, what if there's no hypothetical here. What if men did this? Men have already done it. Men did it and created Facebook.
Lizzie.
And now we have a mountain of problems with Facebook. I mean, do I have to go through the list of issues with Facebook we have as a society because of Facebook? I mean, I won't even start the list. I'm not trying to, Mark Zuckerberg, send unmarked cars outside my apartment. I'm not trying to do that. But anyways, this has been, the surveillance state is here, and it's here to stay. Relationships are, we are talking about the Coldplay kiss. Relationship schadenfreude is only going to get worse. People are only going to want to see people suffer even more, I swear.
But I'm not talking about just rating them on their looks. How about a site that rates women on whether they're gold diggers or not?
I mean, yeah, go ahead and start that site. I mean, I'm sure there's some entrepreneur who's watching all this and is going to start it. But the thing is, first of all, men who are concerned about gold diggers are usually not the type of men that actual gold diggers go after. First of all, I mean. If you no man,
cruel.
I'm sorry, no man is worried about a gold. If you're a single man and you're of means, you're not worried about a woman coming after you for your money. You actually use that as advertisement. Most men with money use that as pull with women. Yes, I've experienced it. I have been on the receiving end of a wealthy man trying to be like, hey, I got a lot of money. I could probably make you pretty be happy. The idea that gold diggers are these women who just prey on innocent men who just want to keep to themselves. That's fiction. That is fiction, and the fantasy of women. That's the fantasy of men who can never get said gold diggers. Okay, that is just not the truth. They do not. Men who complain about like that.
I'm going to leave it alone right there because I'm not going to go. Oh, okay. Now, this site, Venmo.
Yes.
You can Venmo. What the hell is this? You can Venmo the government to help pay off the national debt? Why? What?
I saw this on Twitter, and I had or X. Let me not misname, but I saw this online, and I just got a huge laugh. I mean, so anyone who doesn't know, the national debt. It's not a tiny little amount here. $36 trillion is where the national debt currently stands. And apparently you can go to pay.gov, which is a portal where the government accepts voluntary gifts, and Venmo is one of the digital payments that you can use to pay off these gifts. Now, a lot of people, Do you want a little background on this, Lizzie? Please.
Because I bet you were just I'm trying to remember whether you were a twinkle in your parents' eyes or whether you were actually running around in diapers. When Billy Blue Dress was president, where were you born yet? When
I was
born.
I was about 98. I was the year I was born.
You were born when Billy Blue Dress was president.
Yes.
Well, when Billy Blue Dress was president, he actually had the audacity to suggest, and Democrats did. Sorry, let's not get too political, but it happened. Democrats were suggesting that people hold bake sales and so forth so that they could pay off the so that kids could send their hard-earned money into the government to help pay off the national debt.
Okay, because that kind of answers one of my questions on this story. They mentioned the pay.gov says that they accept money, outstanding government obligations, and other intangible personal property. And that just raised immediate questions for me. I'm like, what the heck do they mean by that? Intangible personal property? What does the government want with my intangible personal property?
Well, first of all, the government, depending on who's running it, wants everything.
They want Venmo now,
Insatiable appetite for spending money that belongs to the people of the United States of America. Is that one.
And, anyone who's thinking do you get a tax write-off? Do you get a break from this? Nope. The voluntary payment, it's simply what, according to pay.gov, an expression of patriotism. You don't get anything in return except feeling good about the red, white, and blue.
So I take it that you're not contributing. I shouldn't even ask you. I'll withdraw the question. I think we already have the answer anyway.
Yeah, that's not on my recent Venmo transactions. I don't see any things to write off the national debt. No.
Okay, so Lizzie, if we do discover this website though that men can start where they can actually start rating women. I know you said this is how Facebook started.
It is.
But things have evolved since then.
I mean, things
don't
have
you
gotten
think
worse.
Don't you think men deserve to know too?
Sure. And then go ahead, men. Do that. Just start your own Facebook groups, start your own, but the thing is, men aren't the ones who are being hurt by this.
And by the way, there are women that also date outside the guy that they're seeing and the guy doesn't know it.
Sure, yeah, but it just, I don't think, statistically it, happens at the rate that it does with men.
You don't, do you?
No, I think if you did, a long-form study, you'd find the male cheating.
So what are we saying, that men are inherently the cheaters? Is that what we're saying here?
I mean, that's what they say. They say that's the first excuse that men use when they get caught cheating. Oh, it's in my nature. It's in my nature. I can't help it. It's in my nature.
Well, I'm not going to pursue that line anymore. Having been young once.
17 hours until I'm approved for T-App, and I could give you all the tea on the T-App.
I can't wait to hear your experiences on the T-App. Lizzie, thank you, Lizzie, as always. Where can people find Lizzie Radabali, Lizzie?
Oh, well, you can find me on all social media at Liz Radabali on X, on Instagram. And you could also listen to our show, the 5 o'clock news hour on WABC, Red Apple, Red Apple here in New York. And it also available online, WABCradio.com, as a podcast.
Wonderful. Lizzie, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Bo. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Van McCoy, The Hustle. This was Van's one big hit. He has a very distinguished career in the music business, worked with so many other people, but Van McCoy and the Soul City, on this day in 1975, went to the number one position on the United States of America's singles charts. Also did well overseas. UK went to number 3. James Golden, Snerdley, doing The Hustle on the Saturday morning extravaganza. Keep it right here.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Keyboardist and vocalist Brent Midland of the Grateful Dead, Midland, was found dead on the floor of his home. He was just 38 years old, drug overdose. 11 years with the Grateful Dead, longer than any other keyboardist in the band. What a career they had. Were you a Deadhead, Kevin?
I am currently still a bit of a Deadhead. I still go to those Dead and Company shows. This is one of my favorite songs. They do it live still. It's a slowed down version of it. But this is a great keyboard track, and it's kind of when people considered the Dead to have gone disco, because it's the most disco-sounding song. It's 78 this came out, and it was kind of like that moment where Dylan went electric, or when when Kiss released I Was Made for Loving You, and people were like, what is this? But now it's become a fan favorite.
Yeah, and that happens, too. Yeah. I remember during the disco era, a lot of groups that were accommodating to the sound took a lot of flack. Just like you mentioned the Dead and some of the others. Earth Wind released Boogie Wonderland. And hardcore Earth, Wind, and Fire fans, some of them were very upset. And they saw it as some sort of capitulation to the disco era. Now it's played regularly as like, oh yeah, this is one of their best hits.
People hated disco. Not sure. I wasn't around in that era, so I grew up loving disco.
There was a segment that hated disco.
Yeah.
Because disco came in like a wave and swept a lot of stuff out.
Would you say people say
the
Bruce Springsteen era once said it was racially driven that people didn't like disco. Do you believe that?
No, because you had a lot of artists from all different backgrounds, not just in the States, but around the world doing disco. So you had a lot of great disco music that came in from Europe. And then you had, like, that disco was the birth of electronica. So you had people like, I remember like Kraftwerk and Trans Europe Express and all that stuff. But then you had the hardcore disco stuff that was happening here. It was awesome. Anyway, folks, what we have, we're going to do Protecting Your Future and coming out of the next break. And can't wait to get to some stories there. Then we're going to delve into some of your phone calls. So if you're on hold, stay on hold. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. 800-848-9222. We've also got some other things that we want to tap into. I hope we get a chance, and I'll see if we can, to talk about this story. It's not going away, so if we don't get to it this week, we will, on what's happening with redistricting. This is going to turn out to be a huge story. And the left, of course, still going nuts I don't know whether we'll be able to get to Jeff Daniels or Beto O'Rourke, but they're all warning of doom and gloom in America. We'll be back. Don't go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome, my friends, to Protecting Your Future, part of our Saturday morning extravaganza here. Thank you to the good folks at Colonial Metals. Listen, there's a story, Wall Street Journal today, of meme stocks in Main Street. Wall Street is doing great, but small businesses, not so much. So, the Wall Street Journal says if financial conditions are restrictive, Wall Street sure hasn't noticed. Stock indexes, fresh records, speculative meme stocks back to mania levels. Meanwhile, they say smaller businesses in the non-financial economy are tightening their belts amid uncertainty over tariffs and the labor markets. And they go on to say that President Trump's whipsawing tariffs have increased volatility in equities, fixed income, and commodity markets along with foreign exchange rates. Such fluctuations make it harder for businesses to invest and means they may have to pay more, blah, 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 in financial aid. So according to Wall Street Journal, by the way, there's a lawsuit that Trump has, as you know, with Wall Street Journal. But according to Wall Street Journal, businesses, American businesses, not so much. Well, contrast that to a New York Post story. John Catsimatidis sent me this story earlier today. Trump tariff plan seems to be working, proving all of the naysayers wrong. And it goes on, the New York Post, for all the sky is falling cries over President Donald Trump's tariffs, it looks like his strategy may be working, just as an August 1st deadline nears. This past week, the Trump folks struck deals with Japan, Indonesia, the Philippines. They may be on the verge of a deal with Europe. On Friday, the president cited a 50-50 chance of reaching agreement with the European Union, and those come on top of various deals with Vietnam, the United Kingdom, a framework on rare earth exports, trade restrictions with China. They go a long way towards standing up Trump's vision for the international economy with better terms for America. So all the news is not gloom and doom, like some publications might have you believe. There are also stories out there that I bet you haven't heard. I've been holding this story for about a week. What is it concerned? The tariffs. Not just the tariffs, but the tariffs and tomatoes. Let's listen in, my friends, to this news presentation that came from WVTM Television 13.
Smith Tomato Farm has been a fixture here on top of Chandler Mountain in St. Clair County for about 60 years. Chad Smith says he's seen a lot of changes over the years and not in a positive direction.
Less than 20 years ago, there was over 10 farms here on this mountain. Now there's barely 5, probably going to be 4 within a couple years. And as another 20 years goes by, there's going to be less and less.
Blake Thaxton with the Alabama Fruit and Vegetable Growers Association says the U.S. agreement with Mexico, first set in the late 90s, was meant to protect U.S. farmers, but it wasn't working.
There's been loopholes that the Mexican tomato producers have taken advantage of and continue to price dump or lower the prices below the cost of production here in the United States and in Alabama.
If they send the tomatoes over and it's supposed to be a set price and they need to move tomatoes, well, they may just give a load of bell pepper for free for them to take the tomatoes. So it's never really worked.
Now, without that agreement, the U.S. has a 17% tariff on tomatoes from Mexico.
So a lot of these tomatoes will actually be going out today.
Smith says he's already seeing a more level playing field.
It's only been 2 days now, and we've actually have a lot more calls of people having interest in doing business. And the price hasn't even changed.
Food security is national security, and we need to be able to produce our own food here in the United States.
So, my friends, what has happened is this. The trade agreements that we had with Mexico were being violated. is the long and skinny of this. And now, U.S. tomato producer in good old Alabama is finding that people are calling him, now that Donald Trump has introduced these tariffs, now they're calling for what? More orders. Before that, it looked like the tomato business was getting run out of the state, of this particular region of the state. Now, I'm not sure where it's going to go in the future, but it's definitely better when people are calling you for your product. And ever since those tariffs have gone into effect, people are now calling American food grower to stock his product. So I guess maybe Wall Street Journal, that's Main Street. That's certainly not Wall Street. That's Main Street. And there are a lot of stories like that, folks. So protect your future. Don't believe the hype. I continue to say that. Now, last element in Protect Your Future this morning, a story from CBS News. An analysis found more Americans are investing. A Maryland accounting professor is raising concerns. A Maryland accounting professor is raising concerns after new research found more Americans are moving their money from checking and savings accounts to accounts with a return on investment. And the analysis by J.P. Morgan Chase Institute examined 4.7 million Chase households. It found that checking and savings account balances are lower than expected based on historical trends. Total cash reserves, which include brokerage accounts, money market funds, and CDs, have been rising since mid-2024 and are approaching historical trends. More Americans investing signals confidence in the U.S. economy, according to accounting professor J.P. Corral with Loyola University in Maryland. I think people, and this may be due in part to apps like Robinhood and Acorn, are kind of democratizing the investment process, making a lot of people realize investing is not that scary. I think a lot of people are starting to become confident in their ability to invest. And the reason, by the way, his concern is about how much credit card debt American households carry. The average U.S. household with credit card debt has a balance of about $6,065 in debt. That's all. That's it. The reason why that's a problem is because if your investments are growing at, say, 8, maybe 10%, if you're doing really well, that's nice. But if your debts are growing at a credit card interest rate that's closer to 25%, really? What are you doing here? So he's suggesting, look, pay off your credit card debts. So he's not really worried about the investments. He's worried about the debt levels. Pay off your debts. And remember the words, I guess, of Education Secretary Linda McMahon. If you take a loan, you have to pay it back. That's news to the younger generations. There's no such thing as loan forgiveness. Imagine that. No such thing as loan forgiveness. So if you're in debt, pay off your debts. But things are looking pretty good out there. Let's head back, as promised, to the telephones. Let's catch up with Susan in upstate New York. Welcome. Happy Saturday morning to you. How are you?
Oh, James, I'm listening all the time. I just don't have time to always call in. But this morning, hearing about your clip of the week with the children being abused, 400,000 of them. Now, honestly, this information has been out there for over a year because the Senate had a committee that investigated this. Now, I want to know how the 400,000 children got into this country unaccompanied. What about all those airplanes?
They walked in. They walked in, many of them. They walked in.
Many of them were
unvetted.
Here. Yes, unvetted.
That too.
And you know what? Yes. think of Yankee Stadium filled up 5 times with little innocent children. Now, I don't know if all these kids are from other countries, but because I think we have a lot of homegrown terrorists as well as these gangs that you mentioned. I don't know the name of the gang, but people like Bob Umenwe, who is the CEO of Goya, has been talking about this. It's been out there. And this did not happen under Donald Trump. Okay? He had a task force for children and women being trafficked. I'm sure.
Look, this was part of the immigration. These were part of the surges that kept happening during the Biden years. Let's just be frank. We all know it. Now, I have to be honest. The Countess of Conspiracy, who just got back from a trip overseas, she and Tom Bond, cousin of James Bond, but the Countess of Conspiracy, about 4 years ago, started talking to me about these children, and she kept talking about these rings of pedophiles. And what she said was, look, this stuff goes deeper than you think it does. This is not just happening on some one-off scale here and there. These are organized rings of people. And not only that, when you dive deep into this whole child pedophilia thing, you will find that there are, how shall we put it? It's not just sexual exploitation. What people were telling me and are telling me, it's for things like anti-aging stuff that they are being used, that I'm trying to not be graphic here, folks, but it gets really ugly. Some of the stuff that's happening that they say are the reasons behind this wave of not just pedophilia, but child abuse. The Biden administration knew these kids were coming in. And this is one of the things that I will fault Democrats with forever. The lies that surround this entire immigration nightmare and boondoggle. The pretense has been that we had the infrastructure to accept these people. We did not. There are not enough federal government employees to handle the surge of 11 million people coming in over a 4-year period. This entire asylum process is a sham. And today you still have Democrats saying, well, President Trump is being horrible, being mean because he's now denying the applications for people that were let here on asylum who are here legally. It was a sham. We never had the capacity to do vetting on 11 million people. Among those 11 million people, and I remember talking about it on this show. I specifically talked about it at one point with very, very famous journalist Todd Bensman, who traveled inside Mexico and South America, and Central America rather, talking to these immigrants. This was a business arrangement. It is no different, was no different than the business arrangement of the old Confederacy that would sell the children of slaves to other people. It is the same thing. And Democrats are complicit up to their eyeballs in the selling of children for deviant purposes. They are complicit up to their eyeballs. We never, as a nation, have the capacity even now, to vet the number of children that came across America's borders unaccompanied. The latest estimate is that there are 450,000 of those children missing. I'm sorry, that number's a little lower because the Trump administration has found, I think, edging on 15,000 of them. 13 to 15,000 was the last I heard. This business arrangement of using children for sexual gratification, for using children for cosmetic purposes. Folks, this stuff is not some kook conspiracy stuff. This is happening. And so when you hear clips, like the clip of the week that we played from Alabama, and in case you missed it, Kevin, let's play that again, that entire story. In case you missed it, this stuff is real. It is not just immigrants, by the way. This is not just being controlled by immigrants. This stuff is evil, and it's being controlled by freaking Satan through whoever. This is pure, bona fide evil that is taking place on a large scale. But the Democrat Party is complicit up to their eyeballs in letting almost 500,000 children into this country, many of whom are believed to be among the abused. And that's only part of the full story of what is happening in this nation with child abuse. Here's that clip of the week that we played earlier from Alabama. And if you are disturbed by it, you should be disturbed by it.
It's a case investigators say they'll never forget. Children drugged and tied up, taken underground into a bunker where strangers paid to abuse them.
Sometimes there would be multiple people that would come by and victimize these children on a nightly basis.
10 children so far have been identified, the youngest just 3 years old, the oldest 15. Most of them are under the age of 10, and investigators fear there are more victims and suspects still unaccounted for.
Some of them come in as they got old enough to be desirable to a pedophile, I guess, and then some of them, their victimization started out when they were younger, and then they reached the age of 10.
Investigators say the children were sexually abused in what was described as appointments paid for by offenders.
Sometimes they could make up to $1,000 a night.
And some of the people who were supposed to protect them were the ones handing them over.
Some of these people are acquaintances, some of them are family, and some of them are just people that they were able to schedule to come to the storm shelter.
Law enforcement believe this wasn't just a local crime. It was part of an organized human trafficking network, possibly linked to a violent gang. One suspect, Andres Trejo Valquez, is believed to have connections to a gang called Serenos, a group the sheriff says profits off child exploitation. His legal status in the U.S. is now under investigation.
Wherever this guy come from, we don't know what he left in his trail.
Susan, I'm let you. We got to head to a break, but I want to give you the last word on this, Susan, and thank you for calling about this.
Okay, the Secretary of Health and Human Services is responsible for unaccompanied minors coming into this country, and his name under Biden is Xavier Becerra. He's going to run for governor, I hear, of California. This is, I cried out of anger and threw things around my house this morning. I have a granddaughter who's going to be 3 in just a few weeks, and I'm going to have to just take a tranquilizer, I think, to get through the day. God love you, James.
I love you too, darling. Thank you for the call. We appreciate you so much. This is upsetting, folks. And it's real. What we got here, Kevin?
This is the talented Sinead O'Connor with Nothing Compares to You. Passed away this weekend in 2023.
Yeah,
Irish singer Sinead O'Connor dead at 56.
It was, in fact, it was on this day in 2023 that she passed away.
It seems like so recently, actually.
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin. James Golden Snerdley with you. Going to take a quick break. Coming back. More of your phone calls up ahead. Princess Di up ahead. America's Small Caffeinated Mom up ahead. Keep right here.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I'm so unbelievably sick and tired of this country. And then people on top of that saying, well, if you don't like it, you should just leave. I would, but guess what? It takes money, and this country is useless. So now we're all stuck in debt. Do you hear that? It's called common sense. It's knocking on your brain. The big beautiful bill / Project 2025, which quite literally are the exact same thing. I'm so tired of keeping my mouth shut. I'm not doing it anymore. Whether this gets views or not, you need to listen. Physically educate yourself. And if you're not educated, go back to school. Project Esther is now a thing. And if you don't know what it is, look it up.
No,
I will hopefully be making another video once I get all of my facts and things in order, but oh my God, I hate America.
Another one in the young 20s. I hate America. OMG. Oh, it's America's fault that I'm poor. Not due to my own lack of initiative, I suppose. Our number duo, my friends approaching the can. Our number 3, Princess Diana, will join us. Our number 3, America's Small Caffeinated Mom, Rhonda Schrock, joins us, as well as your calls. Keep it right here and do not go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome, my friends. Our number 3, our number trio on the air here on our Saturday morning extravaganza. Well, it has been a busy week. A lot has happened this week, as we have been discussing. And when a lot happens, there is one person that we turn to, ladies and gentlemen.
It's time for Radio Royalty with James Golden and America's Princess of Policy, Princess Di.
I have been waiting all week to catch up with the nest, the highness, the goodness, the intelligence-ness of everything. Our very own Princess Diana, Princess of Policy. Welcome, Your Highness. How are you this morning?
I am very happy to hear your voice, Sir Jamesness. How are you doing?
I am trying to keep up with it all, as usual. And
You're
leaving
doing
a lot
great
of stuff
job.
on the editing room floor, as they used to say, because it's so much.
Yes, it is the fire hose, as we always say, and you are doing a yeoman's work in keeping us all informed of what's important. I really appreciate your show every day.
Well, thank you. Now, I've been holding this story because I flagged it. You made brief mention of it when we last spoke, and I have been waiting to delve into it. This would be the big announcement from Japan, but I don't know whether everyone gets what it is. Let's begin, if you don't mind, Princess. You sent me a audio bite from President Donald Trump, briefly talking about it. So, Kevin, let's lead with that, and then Diana will explain to us what is involved with this.
That's going to be a good one. So we have great numbers we just announced. I don't have to go over it because you've seen it, but we have great economic numbers. The deal with Japan is amazing. You've given us $550 billion, and we have totally open access into Japan. Those numbers are great. I mean, the kids actually just said very, very cute, actually. I walked up, they said, sir, there's too much winning. They picked up another routine, you know. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Princess Di. There's too much winning going on
Too
around
much
here.
winning. You know, I have to tell you, one of the advantages of this amazing bombshell is that it is so boring to most liberals. It is about trade, and they don't understand it. They're wrong about it, and they do not recognize what just happened, which is completely novel in the government history and in trade deals. It is a new package structured by Trump's team and helped along by Howard Lutnick, who is his commerce secretary. And the thing that people hear is trade deals, the tariffs are going up, the tariffs are going down, this is tariffs, and people have tuned out. I think, on the great majority of it. I think Trump supporters feel that he's in negotiating mode. He's got this. It's not a problem. Clearly, the economic record proves that the doomsayers were incorrect. Of all of this was going to be, huge inflation, huge economic collapse, all of the predictions with tariffs. And so even the markets have really sort of priced in that we are going to have a little bit of a bumpy ride with the tariffs. No one knows exactly what things are going to look like. However, the deadline is this week. Trump said August 1st, everything has to be finalized. China got an extension to the 12th of August. But one of the things that happened was Trump was right when he said I just signed the largest trade deal in history with Japan, one of our largest trading partners. And yes, it involved tariffs. Yes, it involved opening the markets for the first time to American products. I mean, Trump actually succeeded in selling rice to the Japanese, which is pretty amazing.
Astounding.
Yes, but the thing about it that is so significant, and I want to tell all of the liberals not to listen, I'm saying, don't tell your liberal friends this, but the package that was invented by Trump's team includes this thing called a signing bonus, $550 billion that Japan, in order to get their tariff rate lower, their tariffs were at 25%, which they couldn't handle. They got it down to 15%, which they're happy about now, even though before Trump, tariffs were 1%, 1.5% on selling into America. And so to have the world, and Japan especially, thrilled with having only 15% tariff rate, the reason they got that down from 25% was because they agreed to this deal of the Japanese government putting in what we'd call a sovereign wealth fund, giving basically Trump's administration $550 billion, no strings attached, for Trump to basically spend on infrastructure projects, national security priorities that the Trump administration has 100% right to control where this money goes. That's more than $500 billion. He does not have to wrangle with Congress. He does not have to negotiate with Democrats on funding. He can basically say, I really think it's important for America to have, say, pharmaceuticals. We don't make antibiotics in this country, which has been a strategic problem, which we found out during COVID. I'm going to direct, say, $3 billion to build a pharmaceutical plant. He will then basically find an American company to run it. However, the actual leasing of the building and the structure of the plant, the United States gets 90% of the profit of that being paid back. Japan gets 10% of the profit of the leasing of that structure. So Trump can decide basically to build plants for semiconductors, shipbuilding, minerals, any infrastructure plans. That's an enormous amount of money that he gets to direct where he sees fits, or the Trump administration where he says America needs. And this is something that has never happened before, ever, in any kind of trade deal. And the Democrats cannot get their fingers on it. They cannot complain. I mean, they can complain. There are already a few of them are sort of sensing this might be a problem. They're calling it a slush fund, but there's no outcry. If they knew what this meant for them, it cuts them out of the process of enormous money funneling to the United States for our benefit, for causing, hundreds of thousands of jobs, as Trump predicted. So to me, the fact that the left does not understand this, but what Trump basically shut down their sources of money with U.S. aid, with the NGOs and the nonprofits, and he has in turn basically put this huge venture capital fund for Americans' benefit, which is basically going to be directed without any entanglements with the left, is enormous and huge, and our side needs to celebrate it quietly, but don't tell your liberal friends that this is about to happen.
It is astounding. Let me just say, and let me just add a few tangential points to that. We learned this week that that NGOs are going to be the recipients of all of the money that was raised in the aftermath of the Los Angeles fires. They claimed that this money was going to go. The millions that were raised were going to go for the victims of those horrific fires in Palisades and Alameda, California. Turns out they were asked, well, when are the victims going to get the money? No, the victims are not getting the money. The money is going to NGOs, and the NGOs will spread the money out. Another one of these so-called NGO, it's another slush fund. And Gavin Newsom knew all about this.
Well, they're desperate because they got cut out of the government money. And so they are,
right.
That's what it is almost, they can't hide it anymore. People know about it now because they have been searching for a source to replace the government. And they're basically now involved in theft, outright in public theft. And so this one is not going to be easy for them to replace those funding sources. Thank goodness.
Now, you mentioned, this sovereign wealth fund, which he, by the way, talked about. He telegraphed this early on in the opening month of the administration, and now it is a reality. He mentioned, Trump did mention that he's on the way after he leaves Scotland to open up a new golf course, which I just love. Let them have cows all they want to. Hey, Kevin, cut one really quickly. This is what Donald Trump said about the meetings that he's having today, I believe. No, Sunday, tomorrow, in the EU.
I'll be meeting with the EU on Sunday, and we'll be working on a deal. We'll see if we make a deal. Ursula will be here, highly respected woman, so we look forward to that. That'll be good.
Yeah, so we don't know whether that trade deal with the EU is going to happen, but we do know one thing. Come August 1st, the EU has a deadline. Either they come up with a deal or the tariffs will be imposed. And what do you expect? Do you have any expectations as far as that's concerned?
Yes, I think they're going to look at what happened with Japan. And they're going to say, okay, let us get in on this sovereign wealth fund because they are, basically going to be at 30% if they don't make a deal. So in order to get it down, they saw what worked with Japan. This will benefit everybody because it will also go into the pro-American infrastructure strategic plan that the Trump administration has as to build plants and infrastructure that will benefit us that we need for our national security. So I think they're going to do that. I think they're going to copy it. They have gotten close a few times, but then Trump has basically not been happy with the details. So I really think that's why he's over there, and I think he's going to come back with a deal.
Wow. Okay, Princess Diane, hold on. When we get back, we got to talk about Al Gore. This is amazing. James Golden, Snerdley here, Princess Diana in the house with us. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be coming back. So whatever you do not go away and headed right your way.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
On this day in 1986, Peter Gabriel, having left Genesis, goes to number one on the U.S. singles charts with this one, Sledgehammer. What a great album that was, too. Kate Bush on that album. Don't Give Up, which is just, classic. Big Time on this album. And, of course, Sledgehammer, Peter Gabriel at number 1. Princess Di is in the house with us. He is still out there. Al Gore, Princess Diana.
Do you know that Al Gore has been basically hysterical about the Earth since the 90s? And if you remember, he said the Earth has a fever. That was a quote from him in 2006. But he wrote a book in 1992 called Earth in the Balance, which, of course,
Right.
Rush dubbed Earth in the Lurch.
Earth in the Lurch. Right.
And really, he has been unhinged on this subject. It's the only thing he's ever gotten traction on. He did sell a lot of books. He had a movie. And people, for a while, were kind of interested in what he had to say. And even though people have moved on from Earth in the Lurch, he's still out there saying the same things. And I believe you have a wonderful soundbite from just yesterday.
From the Economic Forum, we have Al Gore. And here he is.
As the Secretary General said in his brilliant speech earlier today, we are not winning. The crisis is still getting worse faster than we are deploying these solutions, and we need to make changes quickly. Emissions are still going up. All these promises of the last few years to cut emissions are still going up. When are we going to bring these emissions down? And just to put the science in a slightly different context, people are familiar with that thin blue line that the astronauts bring back in their pictures from space. That's the part of the atmosphere that has oxygen, the troposphere, and it's only 5 to 7 kilometers thick. That's what we're using as an open sewer. If you could drive a car straight up in the air at interstate highway speeds, you'd get to the top of that blue line in 5 minutes. And all the greenhouse gas pollution would be below you. We're still putting 162 million tons into it every single day. And the accumulated amount is now trapping as much extra heat as would be released by 600,000 Hiroshima-class atomic bombs exploding every single day on the Earth. That's what's boiling the oceans, creating these atmospheric rivers and the rain bombs and sucking the moisture out of the land and creating the droughts and melting the ice and raising the sea level and causing these waves of climate refugees predicted to reach 1 billion in this century. Look at the xenophobia and political authoritarian trends that have come from just a few million refugees. What about 1 billion? We would lose our capacity for self-governance on this world. We have to act. So in answer to your question, I would say we have to have a sense of urgency much greater than we have yet had.
We have to act. We have to have a sense of urgency much greater than ever have. What, 600,000 bombs going off in the atmosphere every day. We got oceans boiling. The oceans are boiling. They're coming up with boiled fish, boiled whales, boiled sardines, boiled mermaids. Damn it. You have to act. Damn it. The oceans are boiling. When you people, and I'm sitting down here with all this Apple stock, all these Apple computers, and I can't stop the world from boiling. The oceans are boiling, and hell is getting hotter.
It's just so wonderful.
The hell is wrong with you people? Emissions are going up. Everything that's supposed to be going up is going down. Everything that's supposed to be down is going up. Emissions are still going up. We're launching bombs in the atmosphere. Rain bombs are dropping on people. Atmospheric rivers are boiling the oceans. And you people sitting down here not paying a damn attention to what's happening. What's happening? Princess Di, what's happening?
Well, the thing that's so fun about this is that these people, the environmentalist wackos, as Rush used to call them, have been saying the same things since the 60s. And I don't know if you remember, but, 4 years ago in the Limbaugh letter, in the August issue, I basically helped compile all of the things that have been predicted since the 60s. and how,
Yes.
basically we have 5 years left, we have 10 years left, we have 20 years left. I mean, not a single one of the predictions has come true. And yet, when the next prediction comes, which I'm sure we will hear this summer, it's the hottest summer on record, it proves that the earth is boiling, blah, blah, blah. The media will then dutifully still print the next prediction, even though their record is zero. So anyway, the thing that's fun about it is that he is increasingly shouting into empty space because it is just not having any more traction. People have moved on.
Well, I have a story of real pollution that I will get to after the break. Princess Di, as always. Oh, by the way, I just read a story, too. There are glaciers now that are forming together, growing ice. And I think it's somewhere in Asia. I'll have to pull that story up for the week. I'll get it. I'll send it to you because I just read it. It's like, what?
Global cooling is going to be the next thing, and the solution is always going to be more communism.
Well, you be careful at the beach. Don't put your foot in the boiling water, okay?
You too, James.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Her Highness, our very own Princess Di. Coming up a little bit later in the show, America's small caffeinated mom, Rhonda Schrock, will join us. Tats is here, too, but I don't think she's going to speak. She's shaking her head no. Oh, I've got to introduce you to Tats. We're coming back. Don't go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin told us in April when he was visiting here, he wanted a complete list of fixes with Mexico that would eradicate this problem forever. Well, he flew to Mexico City Thursday morning to work on that list. Work on the list with Mexico and finalize the list with Mexico.
An MOU has been reached between the United States and Mexico for a permanent 100% solution to the decades-old Tijuana River sewage crisis.
It's a crisis destroying the environment, crippling the economy, and making thousands sick. Yet Tijuana continues to dump millions of gallons of sewage every day in the Tijuana River and in the Pacific Ocean. The pollution is in the water, the ground, and in the air. Zeldin took it all in when he visited in April.
Smelled for myself that foul smell that so many residents of Southern California have been complaining about.
At that time, he demanded a list of fixes. It took 3 months, but Mexico and the U.S. agreed to a list Thursday afternoon.
There are a lot of new Mexican-side projects that Mexico is agreeing to.
There are 3 main points. Mexico will spend $93 million to fulfill promises it already made. Those projects need to get done faster, and Mexico agrees to improvements that will fix the problem sooner and prevent it from being a problem down the road.
Where do we need to be in 2030 and 2035 and beyond?
And that is real. Dobie Gray, born on this day in 1942, passed away in 2011. Of course, 1965 was the year. This was his big one. Went to number 13 in the States, 25 over across the pond in the UK. Ramsey Lewis did an instrumental version of this in the in crowd that was huge for Ramsey Lewis. James Golden, Snerdley. You know, Princess Di, we were going to talk about Media Matters, too, circling the drain. She just reminded me. We got to do that. And I need to talk with Princess Di about this whole redistricting fight. This is going to be monumental. She just sent me the Limbaugh letter. I am going through. I cannot tell you, it must be hundreds of claims all predicting Earth gloom and doom. It's going to be 5 years. It's going to be this, that, and the other. She compiled them in this issue of the Limbaugh letter from the 1960s with Paul Ehrlich leading. It's already too late in the 1960s for the world to avoid a long period of famine. Times of famine. In the 70s, she goes through all the claims that were made. The 90s, the 80s, 2000s. Gore is just all over this thing, too, as you get to those later years. Anyway, promised phone calls. Let's do that real quickly so we have time for America's Small Caffeinated Mama on the Shrug. Bridget is calling from New Jersey. Bridget, how are you?
Hi, good morning. Good morning. How are you? I'm driving,
I'm good.
so I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Be safe on those roads.
I know, right? Yeah, I just wanted to continue my conversation with you last Saturday, Bo, because honestly, this whole immigration thing is really getting under my skin, and I think it's affecting a lot of people because I love President Trump. My whole family supported him. In fact, my mother actually lost her health supporting him, and we all love him. And we are an African-American family, but the fact is that we truly have faith in the president. But the fact is that it's annoying me to the fullest extent, is that I'm hearing so many Republicans, including President Trump, which he has hinted, at going and trying to keep people that have been here, say, 10 years or more, that have been here illegally. Now, everyone is acting as though the roof is going to cave in, saying, well, we've got to protect businesses because these people have been here for a while. They've got established families. They've got established, with the companies within the agricultural industry, the hospitality industry, of which the president actually is in. And I'm saying to myself, if you're going to call yourself the law and order president, you understand that corruption begets corruption. If you do not make a clean line and say, this is the way it has to be. If you are here illegally, and everyone knows that if you get here illegally, you have to go through what? Illegal means to get here. And that is what is wrong with America right now. The corruption is through the roof. People can't breathe anymore. And the ones that get hurt the most are the middle class, because we're the ones that's got to pay for everything. We're paying for them to leave, saying self-deportation, saying we're going to give them money to leave. When you go into a country illegally, you're breaking their laws, and now you're going to make your taxpayers pay for them if they want to self-deport, and then you're going to say to those that have been here for a while, hey, you get to stay. I literally know many farms here in New Jersey. They do not hire. I'm friends with a lot of farmers. They don't hire illegal people. They hire kids that want to learn farming from both black, white, all different backgrounds. Because kids do, once they actually learn what it's like to farm, they actually love it. Because they're trying to encourage them, American children, to learn farming. This is the problem. If we keep saying that, okay, there's a certain type of illegal, no, that's not the way it's supposed to be. You can't say you have an illegal alien and then say, okay, there's another group that's okay. They should be able to be here. We have to stop the bleeding.
Okay, Bridget, let me just say a few things. Number one, there are remarks that are made for public consumption, and then there are actions. All the remarks that have been made by Trump for public consumption, like, oh, yeah, we have to do something about this, we have to do something about that. None of that has come to fruition. The policies, and it was kind of walked back by Stephen Miller, no, there were no exceptions to this. And so those remarks that were made, I think he was he was on the West Coast at the time. The actions are what counts. And the actions have been that there is no relief. In fact, they're doubling and tripling down. I want to quickly address this thing you said about deportations. There's a logic behind that. The logic is the government flights and the government processing that takes place to run people through this system is over $25,000, $30,000 per immigrant. So what they're doing as a cost-cutting measure and to speed up the numbers are saying, okay, listen, we'll give you $1,000 and we'll pay for a flight, a commercial flight, which is less than going through the government processing thing. So basically, instead of paying $35,000, $40,000, $25,000, whatever it is, for each immigrant to be deported out of the country, they're spending $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 maybe capped, and people are taking the action themselves. It's actually a smart move and at a cost saving. So I'm not mad at that. Also, what is going on are conversations in the agricultural section because, look, food prices are dependent on manual labor and farming. And so what is also going on is something long overdue, which is trying to rev up automation on some of these farms. And that is happening quietly in the background. I hear your frustration. You're absolutely right in the points that you made. Some of them, like the self-deportation thing, do have a rationale behind it. The remarks for public consumption, I think, disturbed a lot. And I think if you were disturbed about that, wait till you hear what some of the Republicans are trying to cook up, specifically Representative Salazar out of Miami, who's now coming up with this modified program of let them stay, but don't give them amnesty, so to speak. And that one is bubbling up, and there are a lot of other trying to sign on to it. But when you say the rule of law should be respected 100%, and the way you do that is, regardless of your time spent, hold people accountable, I think many people would agree with you. What is also concern, and I'm just going to put this in, and we will talk again, there is also a concern because you know what's coming up right around the corner. We're in 2025. What happens next year? The midterms. And people's eyes are on the midterm polls. And if we lose the House of Representatives, it's game over for the presidency in terms of it being deadlocked, his agenda. So there are a lot of things in this mix. But I love your call, love speaking with you. We got to run right now. Got to grab a quick break. And Bridget, great caller always. Look forward to speaking with you next time. Thank you. James Golden and Snerdley with you here. Oh, man. Johnny, and you know the song, it's a boy named Sue. 1969 on this day, this one, huge hit for Johnny Cash, released. James Golden Snerdley with you here, America's Small Caffeinated Mom. When we return, don't go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yeah, Bobby Herb. 1966. This went to number 2 on the U.S. singles charts, number 12 overseas. What I didn't know, and didn't know for, just learned, I think, within the last 2 or 3 years, is that this song was written about Bobby Hebb's brother, who had been killed by a mugger in 1963. It was started out as just a filler song on his album, and it turned out this was the only song on that album that actually went hit. And it's his, I think, I don't remember another hit by Bobby. I don't want to call him a one-hit wonder, but I think he may have been. But this one just it was the summer song of it was one of the summer songs of 1966. America's Small Caffeinated Mom is here with us, Rhonda Schrock. Hello, Rhonda. How are you?
Good morning, James. I'm caffeinated. I don't know about you, but that's my meter. I'm up in the red.
What do you have for us this week, Rhonda?
Oh, yes. I have a little story from when my youngest son, I call him the Cub, when he was a young boy. Bedtime was a very special time in our house. And often Grant would put the boys to bed because I would tell him it sticks better when you do it, otherwise they boomerang. But once in a while, that youngest son of mine would just say to me, Mom, do you want to come lay down with me? And so I knew that either he just wanted the company and we would lie in his bed and listen to stories in the dark, or else it could mean that there was something pressing on his mind that would come out in the darkness at bedtime. And so one night he said that to me, Mom, you want to come lay down with me? And I said, sure. And so he moved his mountain of pillows. Well, he said to me, pick a pillow. Which pillow do you want? Because he had all kinds of pillow pets and stuffed animals. So we got all situated. And then there it came in the darkness. He said, there's something I need to talk to you about. So I waited to see what was on his mind. And he said,
I don't know if it's just the devil trying to get inside my head, but I've been having these thoughts. What if Jesus isn't real? And I could hear beside me the anxiety in his voice, the weight in his voice, and I well knew how a child's fears can weigh on him or her like the Andes Mountains. I was that child at one time. And so I said to him, that's normal. It's because you've never actually seen him with your eyes. You know, you've never met my grandparents, who are your great-grandparents. You've never met them or seen them, but you know they existed, didn't you? And he said, yes. And I could just tell in that darkness that he was two huge ears absorbing every word. So then I just said to him, you can't see electricity either, can you? You can't see the wires in the walls. You don't know how it works. When you look at the light switch, you could think to yourself, well, I don't know if it actually works or not. And then you can just sit there in the dark, or you can have just enough faith to flip that switch on. And, of course, it works. And I could hear, even in the nighttime, the relief. And I could almost feel his little shoulders just slump in relief. And he actually said, whew, I feel better, because I thought to myself, come on. So he had been agonizing not only with the fear that maybe Jesus wasn't real, but what was wrong with him that he was even doubting it. So it brought such relief to him that he closed his little eyes and he went to sleep. Well, one day, years later, I got a message from a reader who was in the same dark night of the soul, and she said to me these words, I'm sitting in the dark crying. I don't see any way out. I'm scared to even look for God because I'm afraid he'll take something more away from me, and it feels like I don't have much left. And those words struck me like a hammer blow. I'm scared to look for God. I don't know, James, if you ever read C.S. Lewis's books, The Chronicles of Narnia. Fascinating allegory, a series of about 7 books, and the boys and I would read them aloud. We'd hop in our pajamas and I would read through the Chronicles of Narnia. And in one of the books, A Horse and His Boy, there is a young man who is in a dark night of the soul. He is in great peril. He's been attacked. He's been abandoned. He's just in terrible distress, and he's literally walking along in the dark, and he suddenly realizes that someone or something is walking beside him. And he screws up all his courage, and he says into the darkness, who are you? And the voice says to him, one who has waited long for you to speak. Tell me your sorrows. And he spills out his sorrows, and he realizes it is the great lion, Aslan, who, of course, is C.S. Lewis's depiction of Christ. And Aslan has been following him every step of the way over the mountains, sparing him from attack, guiding his every step. He just hadn't seen him before, but in the darkness he could hear him. So to this troubled listener, this is what I said. She has told me I'm scared to look for God. This is what I told her. Then don't look for him. Listen to him breathe and match your breath to his. And what I was saying, without using the words, is in simply listening for God, it will allow you to feel his presence there beside you in the dark. But I did tell her this, that doesn't mean that you give up on him. It just means that you don't have to wear yourself out looking for him, because he already knows where you are, and he'll come to you. Again, that simple truth brought a troubled heart so much relief, and she said it took so much pressure off of me to read that and to know I don't have to try to figure out how to seek God in these hard circumstances, because some things, James, are so awful and so hard, you can't even fathom trying to seek God in those and making any sense out of them. But what if I could just breathe, this woman said, and just, instead of trying to make sense of all of this, what if he is so close that I could feel his breathing, and maybe he's not doing all those hard things to me. Maybe he is sitting with me. I was so thrilled to hear that dawning relief and that dawning light because it was light she began to see and a flicker of hope that she began to feel. I thought of all those people in the flash floods in Texas, for instance, who were trapped, and the rescuers who were digging through piles of rubble for them. These victims were helpless. They could not move that pile of rubble that was on them. They needed someone to come and begin lifting that rubble piece by piece. And that is what Aslan, that wonderful lion, does. He comes to us in the dark when we are trapped and we are helpless and literally powerless. And he begins to remove the rubble, and he shows us that there is a way forward. Just as my own little boy felt comfort from hearing my voice in the dark, from hearing my breath in the dark, and from feeling my presence right beside him on all of those pillows. Just as that brought so much comfort to him, and it was real and true. Mother was real and true and present with him. It is just like that, only more and only greater for all of us who are here in the dark and we are longing to be found. Oh, how I pray that we are all longing to be found wherever we are, because Aslan will never fail to find us. That's what I'm thinking about today.
Lovely. Where can people find your essay?
It's on thedailybs.com. Mom, What If He Isn't Real is the title.
And where can people find you, Rhonda?
RhondaSchrock.com, SCHROCK.
And let me just add this. I love that, it doesn't matter to people of all faiths usually go through some period of doubt. It is almost that doubt is necessary, that, as you would put it, the darkness is necessary to come into the light. What springs from the darkness?
Yes, the light.
Right.
Yes, those times clarify our faith. They really do.
They become necessary in helping a person build faith. And
yes.
And we all, look, it is just the nature of being human that we all have to go through suffering. We all have to go through sorrow. This is part of the human experience.
Yeah.
But I always love that expression that we are spiritual beings having a human experience.
Oh, it's true. That's so true. And so we should not condemn and shame ourselves for having doubt. It is, as you say, we are human.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you, James.
Always love hearing from you. We got to go, folks. It's that time. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude, my friends, for you being here with me, allowing me to be with you. Thanks to the crew, as always. Kevin's with us today. Kelvin is here in the house. We didn't hear from Kelvin today. We got to correct that briefly. We got to correct that. But anyway, until next time, my friends, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to The James Golden Show. You can hear The James Golden Show Saturday mornings at 7. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?